ratchets, one of the best inventions of the human ingenuity. They make jobs a lot easier, a lot simpler, allowing you to quickly screw in and by just turning a knob or some other similar patent to unscrew very quickly. They make the job simple, easy, and in this video I will show some basic maintenance, basically cleaning and lubricating, so they last a long time and serve reliably. Here I have this wrench that needs lubricating, and I have this one that's already lubricated. And yes, they are not the same in size, but the sound difference and the functioning difference is noticeable, as we will see with this one when we're finishing. Hear this sound. And hear this one. Also, see how this engages quite nice. There's no hanging. And this one, see this, that's not good. This one is a lot more determined. So when we lubricate it and clean it, we'll get those systems. So in this video I will show how to lubricate and how to disassemble it and clean it. It's very simple, but first I want to take some of your time to explain the working principle. For me it's important to understand how things work whenever I'm trying to fix something or figure it out. So for that I will use a very simple analogy and demonstrate on a completely different mechanism that uses the same principle. Ratchet mechanisms are very simple. They work like this. In one direction they will slide, and in the other they will lock. When you use this switch, what you're basically doing is either turning this in the other direction or turning the thing that the ratchet catches onto by a different angle. For example, if I made this angle a bit like 45 degrees, this would work in the opposite direction. If I put it at 90 degrees or even the other side, it will stick. That's what happens inside here when you are doing this. So there are slight variations of how manufacturers manage to do this, but it's always basically the same principle. And in order to disassemble it, they usually require very small hex keys or Allen keys, or these Torx, hexagonal, as in this case. So we'll need to find the matching tip to open this. Let's see. This is too small. I'm going with the largest one that fits. This is the one. Let's see. In this case, it's 15 size Torx. But depending on your tool, it could be some other size. For example, here it's smaller. So I need to first unscrew this. Sometimes there's more than two, but in this case it's only two. I'm holding it on the other side so it doesn't fall out. I completely unscrewed both. I can hear it clicking. That means the threads are all the way out, so I can now disassemble it. I will try to pry these out. Okay, one. The other one. Now we'll turn it around. This is what we need to remove. I can use the gravity to help me, or some small pick like this. Be careful when you're doing this so it doesn't all fall out, so you know where everything fits. And when I open this, I will turn it around so that I know how to put it back. I always usually put stuff on their back, so to say, when I'm disassembling things. Now here you can see the mechanism. I will do this gently. it will slide, but it will lock in the opposite direction. When I want to reverse the direction, I just use this lever on the back and see what happens as I'm turning it. You see? It's very simple. This little piece pushes this, and sometimes there is only one that has some sort of an angle, so you rock it. Here we have two, and we have some springs to keep them pressed, and that's it. It's very simple mechanism. Now, in order to clean it, I would need to remove everything out and make sure not that these do not fall out and that I find them and catch them. Apart from that, you can use just some sort of cloth or some sort of like a small brush and try to get everywhere without completely disassembling it. Some people prefer to use some oil on these, and I prefer to use very soft grease. This is for Shimano internal hubs, but it's very good for this too because it doesn't stick, it doesn't become too hard, and yet it still lubricates over a longer period compared to oil that relatively quickly drops out. And here I will open this, removing this part, and here we have this like a sort of a washer. I will be mindful not to drop it, and if this were not super clean, I would need to remove everything and clean it one by one. So here it is. Okay, it's clean now. And let's see about these two. I would be able to push them out, but I need to remove this part. However, for cleaning, I don't think that's always really necessary. I'm just happy to get this stuck inside as much as I can reach and clean it, and that does the job. After I've done that, it's time to lubricate it. The moving parts need to be lubricated. This is very clean, so I don't need to clean everything. And this part is locked. I will not try to remove it. I would need to use some force. And now to lubricate, I will lubricate this part that slides. And I will lubricate the downside. And now put it back into place. Okay. Now I'll put a bit of lube here. That's my sweat dripping. It's in place. Sometimes there are notches to hold these springs in place, but this mechanism is very simple. Now the other one. Okay. Sliding it back into place. Now using the lever to move this out of the way. And the other spring. Okay, it's back inside. Now what I want to do is to lubricate this section. For that I will use some oil. I'm pressing this here. depressing this and working it a bit, adding some here and here. Okay, clean the excess off. Yeah, looks good. Now, before I put this back in, I will also lubricate it a bit. There's no need to put too much, it will just get stuck, but a little bit is fine. Okay, and now I want to lubricate these poles. And smear it now so that it's everywhere, but not too much. Okay, and this bottom section that also spins, I want to add some here. I think this is good. I will now put it back inside. One more thing, I want to lubricate this mechanism that works left and right. So I will get it out of the way and put some grease in there. There, letting it work. And wipe off the extra. Okay, now I'm putting this like this, and I will just push on this to have room to put this inside, and now it should be working fine. Okay, time to close it up. Making sure this is nicely seated and aligned. Looks good. And before I screw this in, I will put some anti-seize on the threads. That's what I always do when I mount something with bolts and nuts. Just a little bit of anti-seize on the threads and on the face of the nut that's going to press. All right, there it is. Now let's put it back. I'm holding this together with my finger, putting this in and working very gently, being careful not to cross thread it. Okay, it started. Now I'll do the other one. All right. Turning it around, putting it in place, and let's get it started. All right, it's going in nicely. Now I will screw in one by then the other, incrementally tightening them bit by bit. The threads are quite small and fine, so there's no need for some huge torque. I'm using this very small screwdriver and not exerting a lot of torque. Okay, that's it. Let's see if there's any difference. Well, it engages positively, and let's see how it works, how it sounds. Much better. And it locks nicely. So that's it. A fairly simple procedure. It took more time to show it and explain it than it does to actually do it when you're working, and this should be done if you're using your tools every day. You should do it once a year at least, and if you are not, if you use grease and put anti-seize, it can last for more than 1 year without any problems. But when you see and hear that it's sounding very badly, you know it's time to open it and lubricate it and clean it. Also, possible problems could be that the grease that you use gets too solid. It becomes like some sort of glue instead of grease, especially if you go with some harder greases. In that case, if you notice that this is not catching very nicely when you want it to tighten or loosen, open it, clean it, and then re-lubricate it. Do not use a wrench if it does not lock nicely and positively, because you will damage those fine ratchet teeth and it will never work properly again. So those are some things to pay attention to. And for a quick fix, and if you're not sure about which grease you want to use, you can always go with just some lubricant like oil or like this spray. It will penetrate and you can try to get it in, so it's a lot better than nothing. You can spray it here at this part between this twisting part and the case, and on the back. Also try to spray it everywhere. And also here. It will work itself inside, and you will get it working a lot better than without any lubricating, but it's nicer and better when you open it, clean it, and lubricate it completely. This one was bone dry, completely cleaned, completely degreased, and everything was visible, but when you open it after some use, it will look a lot more dirty. But the principle is the same. That's it. Thank you for watching. I hope this will help you and you will be able to give some love and care to your ratchets so they serve you for a long time reliably and well. Cheers. Hi, if you like this video and you like what I'm doing, you can of course subscribe and use this option, this bell, and select all, so that you get notified and never miss a new video that I publish. And if you wish to support me financially, you can do so on my bike.bikegremlin.com webpage/support and choose either PayPal or Patreon donation, where you can choose the amount per your liking and help me make more and videos of higher quality. Thank you very much for your help and support over the past years. Cheers.